Welcome to the UK Investor Magazine podcast, the latest on shares, markets and investments, now available on your Amazon Alexa.
Hello and welcome to the UK Investor Magazine podcast. Today we've got a special guest with us from Grand Vision Media. We've got CEO Jonathan Lowe.
Hi.
So today we're going to be running through their recent RTO on the main market of the London Stock Exchange, the opportunity that they see in their products and services that they're going to be offering out in mainland China. First of all, bit of background to the company. Got a market cap of about £21 million. They were listed on LSE's main market on the 19th of June of this year. So that's a bit of background in terms of the shares there. It trades under the ticker of GVMH. So I'm just going to pass you over to Jonathan Lowe, who's going to give you a bit of background about the company and what their main activities are.
Right, thank you. The company GVMH, or the Grand Vision Media, I founded the company 4 years ago in Hong Kong. I saw an opportunity to build a new out-of-home media network. When I look at the marketing space or the out-of-home media network space, there is an opportunity. Nobody has built a media network using cinema foyer as a location type. And I think this is an underutilized location, but which is perfectly set up for marketing. When people look at the marketing and say, okay, what do I need to do the marketing? We need the space. We need the environment. Okay, traditionally the outdoor media network has been focused on places with high foot traffic, with underground stations, airports, etc. But those, and then they are trying to get the 1 minute or the 1 second attention as you pass by. But when people go to cinemas, they actually are more relaxed. They are with their friends. They're trying to spend money. I always joke about where else would you spend that much money on a hot dog, right? So their minds, and then you have the fragmented time. You always have the few minutes before the show starts, so you're the cinema foyer. So this is where I think is a good location for building a media network to do marketing. Okay,
so the main business at the moment is, for people here in the UK, to make a comparison, everybody's seen the digital panels that we've seen on the side of bus stops. They're in tube stations. We see them now predominantly in train stations as well. The static print billboards are being increasingly replaced by these, and Grand Vision have basically taken this concept and they're rolling it out first of all in Chinese cinemas. They're slightly different to the ones that we see here in the UK in that they are 3D. They're a little bit more eye-catching in terms of the visuals that they're showing there. So that's, in a nutshell, what the business is in terms of the out-of-home market. They do actually provide an interesting service for their clients as well, because they can act as an agency for certain products and Chinese social media. They have an e-commerce service that they can provide to brands looking to enter into China. Also, they can manage social media campaigns. So, Jonathan, could you just tell us a little bit more about that and how the integrated solution is used by your clients?
Right. First, let me explain to you why we choose China as our first country for deployment. You may have heard that the Chinese box office have been growing in the past few years. The number of cinemas are still growing, and the demographics of the cinema goers are actually perfectly matched to the demographics demanded by a lot of the advertisers. So we see this. Of course, the Chinese consumers are now one of the biggest consumer market in the world, not only for domestic brands, but also for international brands. They are also the #1 country of outbound travel. So we try to capture this opportunity. So in addition to servicing the domestic brands for domestic campaigns, a niche part of our services is actually to help international brands and we have worked with a lot of Japanese cosmetic brands, Italian fashion brands, American brands, etc., to market directly to the Chinese consumers through our network and through our online services.
Okay, great. So they're not just out-of-home advertising company. There is an integrated service there. Jonathan, could you just give me a little bit more in idea of the way that the company is scaling, the size of the market, how you've penetrated so far, and where you see yourself being in terms of a market, maybe a market leader in some areas, what you think your market share could be in certain sectors of what you're doing?
Okay. We are, at this moment, although we are still young, we are a first mover, and we are currently among the top outdoor media network in the cinema foyer space. Of course, we are the only one that deploys the Glasses 3D technology to build a network. So I see tremendous potential, not only in growing inside China, but also to replicate and expand this concept to cinemas and other location types around the world. In fact, we are already in discussion with some players in Asian countries such as Japan and Thailand. Of course, I hope to be in the UK one day. We are also getting traction with international advertisers. So a substantial portion of my revenue actually comes from overseas advertisers.
Okay, perfect. So you touched on there that you're planning to come into the UK. Operations are predominantly in China at this point in time. So what was the thinking behind listing a company here in London on the main market for a company that's operating in China?
Well, I always looked at China as my first country for building this business. But I have regional, if not global, aspirations for the company. So I think London is a good capital market, could give me the international presence. From a company angle, open me up to a bigger investor base, potentially, and also it give me a launch pad to accelerate the growth, both regionally in Asia and extending to Europe and America.
Okay, perfect. So there's obviously big expansion plans there, but to give our listeners an idea of where you are at the moment and try and make some comparisons to the markets here, I mean, what sort of brands, if you can name any, are you working with at this point in time, and what they do, and a little bit about the scale of those companies and how big they are?
Okay, it's a difficult question because some of the brands are under NDA, but I can tell you I'm working with some of the big domestic brands in China, including real estate companies, the top ones, pharmaceutical companies, and my international brands would cover from fashion brands, Italian brands, French brands. Of course, we also work with cosmetic brands from Japan, etc. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, also the market in China is different here in the UK, and it's obviously a lot larger. There's a bigger demographic. There's obviously it's the world's largest population. How have you gone about targeting different segments of that market? Is there a particular segment of the Chinese market you're going after, or are you sort of looking at an all-encompassing approach, trying to get all levels of the Chinese population?
I take a balanced approach. Of course, some of the no one can ignore the Beijing, the Shanghai, the Guangzhou, the largest metropolitan areas in China, but also one cannot ignore the spending power of some of the what we call tier 2 cities, Hangzhou, Wuhan, etc. Those people are also highly going after international products. Yeah, particularly outbound travel.
Okay then, perfect. So that was Jonathan Lowe of Grand Vision Media. We're probably going to be covering him in some editorials and the company as they update us of their progress going forward. And thank you very much for listening to the UK Investor Magazine podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.